Hi everybody, this is Henrietta from Umbrella Multicultural Community Care Services Inc. and this is Visualize Your Data on a custom map using Google My Maps. I had a webinar a week ago, but unfortunately Zoom lost my recording, so here we are. I'm going to make sure that I have some of the questions answered through this video that was asked in the previous webinar, but if you have any questions, my email will be on the last slide as well as in the description of this video, so please feel free to email me any questions. I'm happy to do Zoom calls so I can look at your map and help you to set it up the right way that you want. I'm very passionate about this, so I really want to help people to get it right because it's fantastic that it's free, and I think it's a fantastic tool for data visualization, for asset mapping, for stakeholder mapping. It's just really great, and I hope I'm going to convince you through this video. Before we start, I just would like to acknowledge the Noongar Nation and specifically the Whadjuk people as the traditional custodians of the land on which our services are based. We pay our respect to the elders past, present and emerging. We acknowledge the LGBTI elders past, present and emerging. We express our gratitude for the recognition and acceptance the LGBTI community experiences today, acknowledge the prejudice and battles they have fought to bring us to this point. We also acknowledge the elders of the cultural and linguistically diverse communities who serve as the inspiration of Umbrella Inc.'s mission and values. As we stand on their shoulders today, we celebrate and continue to promote respect and inclusion for all. If you haven't heard about Umbrella, we are a non-for-profit organization based in Perth. We provide aged care services in the community to around 1,000 clients from 67 different countries. We speak 57 different languages, so very diverse. We also work with the LGBTI elders. We also won a couple of awards for the work we have done. Myself, I've been with Umbrella for 7 years. I'm a social worker by trade, but in the last 7 years, I've been a community engagement officer or coordinator, then manager. So currently, I'm the communication and community engagement manager at Umbrella, looking after the community engagement projects as well as the communication and marketing side of the organization. And today we're going to talk about my map first, so where the inspiration came from and how I found this one, because it's an interesting one. And also the registration and how you can create your own, and then how you add your layers and locations and some of the tips and hints that I have for this map, so make sure that you can set it up the right way for you, because I made some mistake along the way, so learn from my mistakes so you don't have to do that. Don't have to go through those mistakes. And if you have any questions, again, email me. I'm happy to answer and I'm happy to help you with this. So registration and setup, very simple, but you need a Google account, and you don't have to have a Gmail account. And you can actually use your work email, which is really great. Then you go to google.com/mymaps, and then you can create your map there, name it, put a description on it, and you can also change the word view. I'm going to show all of that to you. So let's get started. First of all, I just would like to go to an incognito because I already logged in, and what you need to Google is Google account, which is going to pop up here, Google account. Then you have here create an account, click on that one. Then this side come up. So most people obviously creating their Gmail account, but as you can see here, you have used my current email address, so you can actually input your own work email and create. So please go through the registration, signing up and so forth, and then you're going to have your account. Once you have done that, you can go to back and you can actually create your own. So google.com/mymaps, and then here we're going to pop up in a second the section where Google has its maps and created maps. So you can see I have 3. I already had one because I have done the webinar, but I also have a bucket train ride. The longest train ride in Southeast Asia. If you want to do it, just Google it. It's not mine, I found it, and because mostly my maps, I thought it's for travel agencies where they can actually show the itinerary mostly, so I haven't seen any relevant use for that for my project. But then I'm part of a group in Facebook called the Perth Op Shop Facebook group, and someone got all the op shops in Perth and put them into this map, and I looked at it, and as you can see, it's a different color. I'm showing you how you can get that if that's how you want to present your data. So this person put it in all the data here, and I was very impressed because this is asset mapping or location mapping, and it was service mapping really. So I said, okay, so if they have done this, then maybe I can use it for my project. And at the time I was launching a new project called Let's Get Social, based on social groups and targeting CALD seniors who may experience isolation through COVID. But it was location specific, so I had to find groups in city councils that were helping us. So I went to their website, and unfortunately, although they do have a good listings, and they also have ethnic groups listed there, they're either not relevant anymore, or they are completely different ethnic groups from a different city council area. So it was not really useful. So of course I went to Office of Multicultural Interest website because they have a longest list that I knew of until I came along about ethnic organizations. But unfortunately it's in alphabetical order. It's not based on location. So I literally had to go through all the listings and see where these guys are. And I find it very tedious. So I said, no, I need to visualize this. And I remember this fantastic map that is in front of you. So I said, okay, I need to do this. So I signed up. I Googled how to create my maps. And here we are. This is my map now. So I have over 200 data points entered now in 7 different categories. And I'm going to go through those ones and why they are important. And yeah, this is my map. So I'm going to show you now how to create yours. Go back, as you can see, here's mine. So here, once you created your Google account, you can go to Google My Maps and then click on this button. You can also do through Google Drive, but I think this one is much more clear, straightforward. So let's click on that and create your map. So here it is. As you can see, it just pops up Australia. So wherever you're from, you can actually zoom into your place and start adding your data point. Now, before we start anything, before I show you how to add your data, I highly recommend before you do anything, make sure that you set down a couple of things. Clarify a couple of things about your maps. Number one, who is it for? Okay, who is going to be the end user, what they need to see, what they want to see. So I knew, I'm a community engagement manager, I knew that other people who are working with ethnic communities will love this map because it makes it so much easier to target them based on location. So I was doing, and that was in my mind. So my colleagues and people that work in this field. So make sure that you know who is this map for, who is going to be the end user, and then what these people are going to look for. What are the details they want to need? What are the details you need to input into those data? So for example, I'm putting in to the different ethnic groups, the availability, where they can find them, what are they availability. So I'm adding them as I go. Another thing is what you do is to make sure that, is it private? So it's going to be just for your team, or is it going to go outside? So you have to make sure that it is obviously confidential, not putting out people's addresses too randomly. Another thing it's good to remember, when you're adding points and data, you're actually not changing anything on the actual Google map, on the Google listings. You're actually adding just data points in a separate area. So no one else going to see this. It's just for in this map. So unless you share this map to anyone else, no one else going to see this data. So this is up to you. So if you don't want to share it with anyone, it's just for you, then you can add whatever you want and whoever you want, really. No one else can see this. You can actually make it private. Now, as you can see, here are the data, and start with naming your map. So this is webinar map number 3, and add any description you want here, like your contact details, who you are, why you created, whatever story you want. Be creative. I'll leave it to your imagination. You can do whatever you want. Now, this is the base map, so you can actually change the color. So as you can see, this becomes this yellow-orange. You can actually do satellite. You can actually do a little bit more topographic one. So whichever you want. I'm using the basic one, but as you can see, the Opshop one has the different color version. So it's right here on the base map. Now, as you can see, there's layers. I don't call them layers. I call them categories, because that's a little bit more matching with the projects that I'm going. So categories. So this is why you need to make sure when you do create your map, again, make sure that you have up to 10 categories and you categorize your data into those categories. Why I don't recommend to have one layer is, for example, this guy done one layer only. And color-coded, as you can see, the different organizations or the different groups. And in fact, it's just about locations, not even necessarily different organizations. But it's a very, very, very long list. And you can't really search. You literally can just have a look at the map and just go through and click on them. With mine, I started the same way, of course, but don't do it because it took me an hour to actually reorganize and recategorize everyone. So I actually have 7 layers. So this is the CALD organization ones. This is the community centers, so organizations that have their own centers or community halls, then places of worship, sports clubs, providers, as well as ethnic schools and ethnic media. Ethnic sports is important because some communities actually gather together sports, so that's how they come together and celebrate who they are. So sport is really, really important for them. Now, as you can see, it's quite convoluted here at the moment. Everything is on there. So using layers is really great because you can actually highlight the layers that you want to work with after you edit your data. So I'm going to just unclick all my layers. And as you can see, nothing, it's just a clear map, nothing appears because I want to work with all the ethnic service providers and they come up here. And I want to match them with places of worship and then all the places of worship pops up. So you can actually manipulate the layers much better if you have one thing. So this is where the layer is. So let's add our own layers. As you can see, the first one is given. So you just put volunteers. I'm going to do a volunteer matching map at the moment. Add another layer. It's going to appear in a little bit, especially if my, today must be too early for this computer. So this one is for client who needs a volunteer. And this one is for places of interest. So for example, you have volunteers, you have clients, and you have places of interest that the volunteers can take them. So you can actually add places of interest. Now, there's a couple of ways you can add your data. And as you can see, before we actually move on, when I'm clicking on the layers, this blue line appears on the left. This is important because when you click on this one, the layer is highlighted, and this is where you input the data into this layer. And then if you want another layer, just click on the layer and then add data points to that and then click on that. So you can actually highlight the layers and work with them individually. So first one, I'll show you the volunteers. So you can do a couple of ways. You can search by name. So for example, if you know the organization names, as you can see, I Googled a couple of things before. So for example, I'm going to add volunteering WA because they do work with volunteers. So I can go there and ask for. Now, as you can see, if you Google by name, it's going to bring up the Google listing. So it's very easy. Here's the add to map function and you edit them. There's other little icons which I'm going to go through in a second. This is about customizing that data point, but I'm going to show you in 1 second. So I'm added volunteering WA and they appeared on my layer here under the volunteers. Now I'm going to go by address. So 39 Abernethy Road. And we're going to pop up umbrella, of course. This is our address. As you can see, the marker appears on the top of umbrella's main listing on Google. But I don't want to use that because I'm not highlighting the whole organization. I'm just highlighting one of the programs that we use here for volunteers. So I'm going to add my marker, not the umbrella listing, to this map. As you can see, there is the original search from what I have done. This one you can keep or you can remove if you don't want to. So just click on remove. Remove it before you edit the marker because otherwise you have to start again because it literally removes every editing that you have done to it. So right now you only have the address that you have Googled. Then you can actually go and click on this little pencil and edit. So I'm going to add community visitors scheme. And bilingual volunteers. That's what we have here. Fantastic. So here you go. bilingual volunteers, community visitor scheme added. Another thing you can do, if for example you don't have address, which I had a lot of issues with some of the ethnic organizations, I had to actually find in which area they are operating, and based on that I Google searched. For example, we can do Inalu. So I'm Google searching Inalu. Yes, it's a suburb in Perth. For anyone who is not from Perth, it's a suburb. Yes, I know. It sounds like that. Now, Inalu, as you can see, it just popped up in the middle of the suburb, and you can edit as we have done previously, and remove the actual. I like to remove it because I like to add my own data, but you can keep it there. It's up to you. Then you edit that. So I don't want the actual name of the place because you clearly can see where it is. I'm adding Polish volunteer, and then I can add the details of the person. Are they male? Are they older? Are they, depending on what you need and what your volunteer's description is, you can add, who they are, what their interest is, what they would like to do, what are their skills, what are their contact details. Then make sure that you're not sharing this with anyone else. Obviously confidentiality, but you can add any details you want here. Really, no one is going to see other than people who has this link and able to view this map, right? So we added a Polish volunteer. So we have 3. Now I'm going to the next one. So I'm going to add a couple of clients. So again, I'm going to add one in Montloli. For example, at the Hungarian Association here. So they have a Hungarian client here. I'm zooming in. Again, I'm not going to change the actual listings of the places that you're adding, okay? You're not editing the Hungarian Association's listing on Google. You're just adding your own marker, especially if you remove it. So I'm going to remove all the details here because that's not relevant to what I do. So I'm going to add Hungarian client 1 and details. So I'm added that one. And as you can see, the Hungarian Association listing is still there, so it's not going to disappear. Then let's add another one in Belmont. For example, I add one person in Burswood, WA. Again, highlighted a suburb, not a place, not an address. So I'm going to add that one, and I'm going to keep this one here. Okay, so edit, and this is a Polish client number 2. And I'm going to add one more. So there will be one in somewhere in Inalusu, Scarborough. Another thing you can do, if you know the suburbs, you can actually drop it. So I'm going to drop on the top of Scarborough client number 3 and that person details. Yep. And whatever details, or the job details. What's the job about? You don't necessarily don't have to be clients or volunteers. They can be jobs, for example, what needs to be done. Then places of interest, so I'm going to just highlight Lake Munga. It will come up. So I'm going to just add now quickly things. I'm going to add the race course, adding the race course. Yep, and I'm going to drop one marker on, hopefully, if I'm correct, I'm going to add one for, here, Belmont Forum. So I could highlight Belmont Forum, but I'm just going to drop my marker, places of interest. So there you go. And details. Yep, done. I added 3 data points to each layers, and here we are. Now, as you can see, the problem is it's not just doing layers is one thing, but we need to make sure that you customize your points, because otherwise it looks extremely confusing. As you can see, first of all, don't use blue or green, okay? Make sure that you remember this. Blue and green is not the best color to actually do your data, because it really blends in, especially if you're a huge ocean on your left. And green also not good because of all the greenery around. So as you can see, you can't really tell who is who and who what's what. So this is why it's important to style the individual data points. Now you can style it through this little paint bucket that either appears on the left on the listing, or if you click on the bubble, this is also next to the edit. So you can edit it 2 ways. So I'm going to edit this here. Black is the best one. I don't know why, it's just what it is. And I'm going to do this one here. So I'm going to add a color, and I'm going to add an icon. If you don't like these icons, that's completely fine. As you can see, there's more icons here. You can have, you know, dozens and dozens of different icons that you can use. And I'm going to do this one here as well, very quick. So I'm going to quickly just color these ones. So I'm going to do this one purple because that's also a really great one. So I'm making a little house because, you know, it's people living at home, or this is home support, or support at home. And then here's the places of interest. So I'll make it fun. I'm going to make it yellow and the balloons. But again, I could add anything I want from that other icon list. I actually used a couple from there because they have places of worship icons, for example. So here we are. Look at that. Fantastic. Now much more visible of who is who and what they can do, and people can, you know, look for it. Again, you can untick your layers and tick it back. Now, limitation number 1 is that you can up to 10 layers. So I have 7 layers on this map. As you can see, I have another 3 to add. In the beginning, I only had 1, and then I categorized and then pulled them through individually. So make sure you do the layers first. Very, 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 very important. And I only have 3 more to add, so I have to be very careful. It becomes very convoluted, especially with the places of worship, because it's so many different worship places, and I would love to categorize them differently. As you can see, I accidentally did not change this icon to little praying guy, but I'm going to do that later. So I have to be very careful because I only have 3 more layers to add. So make sure that you have up to 10 categories, and within those layers or categories, you can add up to 2,000 data points. So that's really, really great. Now, what else you can add? First of all, you can add pictures. So if you have, for example, what I have done here, I dropped it here. That's a random spot. As you can see, this little camera here. So I'm just going to put the person photo or a place photo or smiley. So for example, I Google volunteers, look for volunteers. Yeah, I just add nice people smiling because I know they are the volunteer, the group of volunteers there, which is going to appear. Yep, and it's appeared right here. So you're going to have now, the photo. If you add from the listing, so for example, what I done with Volunteering WA or with the Lake Mungo Reserve or Ascot Race Course, they already have some photos because of their Google listing, so it will be there, but you can add your own as well, so don't worry about that. Another thing you can do, but I haven't found any use for that, is actually adding other shapes, for example, a line. So 1 click, 2 click, and last click on the last point, and line 1 is added. So for example, line 1 is here. You can change the color and you can change the width, for example. So I'm going to add the yellow one because I actually made a mistake. As you can see, this layer was highlighted. Oh, did I make a mistake? Highlighted. So I'm going to just grab this one and drag it across to the places where places of interest. So here we are. You can add, yes, you can add photos, you can edit the details, and you can change the color. Another thing you can do under the same function is that you can highlight the place, for example, right here. I haven't found any use for these in my work, but if you find anything useful, it's useful for your work, highlighting an area that's of interest, then please do so. Really cool because they actually show you how big is your highlighted area. You can again color, so I'm going to put it yellow, orange, sorry, that's orange. And you have more functions for some reason, color functions here than with the normal place points. And sorry, you can also change the transparency of the highlight and also, of course, the border. So I'm going to make it very visible. So here you go. These are the things you can add. You can add pictures. You can, and yes, you can move. For example, oh no, these guys are actually not in Scarborough. I need to just move them around, move them to Ellenbrook or move them to Yorkine. Oops, they moved to Yorkine. And you just need to change the description if something else is added there, indicating that they were in Scarborough previously. So you can actually move around and you can actually change those. So again, you can have up to 10 layers. You can change how the map actually looks like. So if you like a little bit more of those darker colors, you can change at the base map. And I highly recommend when you're adding the data points to your layers to change them with the little bucket as you're adding them. So as I said, you can do individual or uniform style, but what happens with that one, unfortunately, once you change it, like do this, so all of them at once changes into black star, but then you can't manipulate the individual data points, which is very, very annoying. So unless you want them to fixed forever, then please don't use the unifier style. I did not find it any use of it. And obviously there's other stuff that you can do, sequencing or listing them by data. So have a play, have fun with that. It can give you a lot of things. Obviously you can delete and rename data. Now there's about open data table. This is more for travel agencies. You have like a long list of points on their travel, the itinerary. So I don't think it's usable for projects and data visualization, but if you find any rules, email me. I'm always happy to learn. Now, the last function that I want to quickly show you is the distance measure. So this is this little ruler here. So this is really cool. Why is this one did not change into a star? Thank you very much. So here is the volunteer. This is a client, so it is, they are 4.65 kilometers away. That's fantastic. And then another, this is how much, how many kilometers the volunteer have to travel and then back to their home. So 17 kilometers, that will be their, reimbursement fee for their petrol. So also what you can do with the measuring is you can actually measure a whole area. So this is it. So it's not just measuring the borders, but going to measure the square kilometers. So very similar functions to the lines as well. So it's really, really cool. Now, once you finish, then you're happy and you added the name and descriptions. Again, make sure before you start all of this, make sure you know who is the audience and why they would need your map, because that will be really important. Then you can actually preview and you can see how it's going to look like from end user point of view. They were also able to manipulate the listing. But they're not going to be, I'm able to edit it because obviously I am the owner of this map, but they all won't have these kind of functions there. You can share it though, that's there. So they can actually have a look and actually have a look at the different data points. And as I said, Lake Mungo has its own pictures already, but you can add your own. But if you see the client number 3, it's hopefully pops up with that lovely, yes, slowly the pictures that we have added. So here you go. This is the map. You can also embed and share. So these functions will give you a link to view or link to edit. You can actually change that. And yes, you can completely embed this map into your website. That's really, really, really cool. So this was it. Thank you so much. Let's quickly go back and finish off this one. So as I said, I show you the layers, the places, the lines and shapes, how to change icons, pictures and shapes, and the details of your map. So this will be up there, but you do that in the first instance. Limitation of the map, very, very, very important. 10 layers and up to 2,000 data points per layer. And yeah, this is it. Off you go and have fun. And if you have any questions, don't forget to contact me. This is my contact details. So it's h.podgorska@umbrellacommunitycare.com.au. And it was really lovely to have you today. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. And thank you so much for watching this video. Bye.